Alright, we're good. Oh, shit. It's Dad, this is for you. I already recorded a half-hour version of this and then found out the sound quality was not great. So I'm going to try and run through it, and you won't have to suffer as long as I did, rambling through it. So I'm trying to talk about applications, getting things done today, getting a car. That was the hot topic. It's kind of come up in our conversations over the past couple weeks, and it's coming up for you. Like you're gonna do it eventually. It's not exactly optional, is it? So I figured I'd discuss sort of how I envision the process, how it, well, I'm ancient compared to you, so how it used to work. Nowadays, I'm not quite sure. I haven't had to deal with it in a while, for a kid, and this and that. So there's a couple different levels to getting a car when you're a teenager, right? You got like the bougiest, which is your family just gives you one. Usually those are like decent, well maintained, because who's going to give you a crappy car? You might be in that situation. I don't know. Maybe your mom is interested in getting a new car and she'll just give you the one that she has. In which case, good for you. Good on you. The second would be that you're loaned a car from your parents. That's what my parents did with me when I first started driving. And mine was a 1992 or 94 GMC Jimmy that was bright blue, and everybody loved it. Great car. Uh, it was sort of a legend in its time, actually. A lot of dumb stories that I'm not going to tell. Then there is uh, buying a car, you getting into a car, like a car loan situation. You want to avoid that if you can. That is less than ideal. I'd say that's probably the worst case scenario, actually. So above that, I personally would put finding a car, like getting a beat up old car and then fixing it up. So find something that's kind of busted. Maybe it needs a new radiator or it needs some body work. Basically, it's old enough that even if it was in great condition, it's only $4,000 or $5,000, and then something's wrong on it, so they're just trying to get rid of it. That that is a choice opportunity, because one, it teaches you how a car, like why a car works, as opposed to just how. You understand the mechanics of a car better, and also you're putting more value into it than you paid, because cars are depreciating assets. In typical circumstances, you are only going to spend money on a car. You're never going to get that out. You can cut your losses to a certain degree, but cars just really don't work that way. Oh man, I'm coughing. Uh, the second you drive it off a lot and it's yours, it's lost value. And that goes for used vehicles too. And typically loans are paid back uh, not as fast as the value depreciates. So you end up owing more on a car. You get upside down. You end up owing more on it than it's actually worth, and it's harder to get rid of. So going low to start helps you avoid that situation. And there are obvious trade-offs and stuff, but that's just generally how it works. Getting into a car loan, that's why car loans at your age aren't great, is because you don't have the sort of life infrastructure to absorb losing money on an asset like that just yet. You don't have a reliable work. You don't have like equity in a house that you can pull. You're not able to plan around an expense like that the way someone who's established would. So you're sort of in a tricky spot, because you want a car, so maybe you could have access to a job, but you need a job to have the money to get a car. So you might, and I mentioned this in the first video, which is probably the best idea from it, get a moped. Yeah? Uh, they're fun to ride until your friends see them. Yeah. Or until your friends see you on one. Moped's a great idea for you. Genuinely, I think maybe I'll get a moped. That would save me a ton of money driving to school, because I don't need to drive an 8-passenger vehicle to school every day, sometimes twice a day. So I'm going to be searching for that when I'm done recording this. But you want to figure out what path to getting a vehicle, first, what kind of vehicle is right for you? For you, compact, something small, something efficient, because you're just carrying you and maybe a friend of yours where you need to go. An SUV, they cost more to run, obviously. They're much less efficient when it comes to fuel. They're a little better when it comes to accidents, which is a thing. Um, but for the driving that you're going to do, probably not as consequential. I mean, if you were doing like highway driving, unfamiliar places, that kind of thing, yeah, maybe that's more important. And but it sounds like you're probably just going to stick around the area for now, and then you can branch out once you're comfortable. But you really just need to get to work to start saving up that cash to develop a plan for the next year or two. So, whatever is the best at moving you for the least amount of money, that's really what you're looking for. A horse would be ideal, but you don't have the space for that. So, the I guess it's going to be difficult. You want to start looking. My strategy for used vehicles, because I've always bought used, I've never bought a new vehicle in my life. At this point in my life, I look for used luxury vehicles because the people who own them have the money to take care of them. So, you're not getting a beat up piece of shit that someone like smoked in or didn't take care of when it needed maintenance. They take care of their stuff because it was a serious investment, and it's not that big of an expense for them because they have the money. So like an older luxury vehicle, like mid mileage, so maybe like around 100,000, I think that's generally the sweet spot. Although I don't think at your level, like your first car is kind of supposed to be a piece of shit. You're not hot shit. You don't have real money. Unless your family's giving you the car, then it's their money and they get to pick what you drive. But if it's you making it happen on your own, your first car is sort of supposed to suck because you don't know what you're doing. You can't afford anything nicer, and you're probably going to run into a tree or a stop sign, or you're going to end up hitting something at some point. And so why bother with something so much more expensive? It's your first one. You know what I mean? Like, it's by its very nature temporary. And so it's better to get something closer to disposable than it is to make it a serious investment when you know you're going to get another one within the next couple years. You will probably run through a vehicle. I ran through, oh my God, so many cars. And I don't think I'm typical. I was a typical idiot for my generation for those years, like the 2000s. I don't think I could be pegged as an idiot back then. Well, maybe by older people. I wasn't like outside the norm for my age group, but what I was doing wasn't smart. It's just I had to get older to realize that, apparently. So, thank you to everybody who put up with me. Seriously. But, so I wouldn't shy away from that. I think part of the fun of having a car when you're a teenager is you can have a beat up piece of shit and it doesn't really affect you. Like, you're a kid. Like, nobody expects you to be driving, an Acura or something like that. You don't have coworkers to impress. The impressive part is that you have a set of wheels. Who cares what manufacturer they come from or what the median income for other owners is? Like, you're able to get around. That's what makes it cool. So I wouldn't shy away from older crap as long as, it's in good working order. That's really what you want to do. Oh, Crown Victorias, old police cars. Those are great. Cop cars get sold out in Grantville at the auction house. It's one of a few locations in the area that regularly sells those. But they have a Interceptor special package that the police get, which is a more powerful engine and upgraded suspension. I want to have one. Mercury Marauder. If you're not familiar, look it up. This car's They were sexy. They're old now. I don't think they've made them in a decade or two, but they were like a souped up all black police car without like lights or anything, but they just looked boss. They were pretty cool. Dual exhaust, like V8. They were pretty sick. Okay, I'm getting distracted. Um, but those are vehicles that you can often get for cheap. You sort of get the history with the vehicle. You can see when it was serviced. Fleet vehicles is what they're called. When something like a police department or a rental company, they have a large pool of vehicles that get serviced regularly to maintain. That's their fleet. Those often can show you, if they come with the records, show you the sort of the reliability of a vehicle over time. So if it's been regularly serviced and didn't have any major mechanical faults, then it's pretty good. If it was a fleet vehicle and they don't have the service history, stay away from it because there is a reason. Because all that stuff is digital. It's not hard for them to give to a dealership if they're buying it or to sell with it when they get rid of it. So I'd say figure out what you're looking for. Honda CRX and Civic hatchbacks were popular when I was younger. Those hatchbacks were actually really cool. I kind of wish I could find one now. And how interesting is it? Like I'm almost 40. I'm not quite there yet, but I already have nostalgia for like what 15, 20 years ago, and it feels like it wasn't that long, but it is. I don't know. Yeah, I would drive the crap out of like a tiny little Honda Civic hatchback. Those were the days. But those cars were small, very efficient. Learn to drive stick if you can. It's a useful skill to have, even though only like 0.1% of vehicles are manual anymore. And then we need to make sure that you learn the mechanics of how an engine works, like what each component does, from like the radiator to the alternator to an electronic distributor. Although I guess that's all part of a computer system now. They don't really, I don't think they separate it, do they? Maybe they do. Or your airbox or the tailpipe or like the different components and how they work together to create the process of movement, because when you're on the road and something stops working, that's going to tell you what's wrong. Sometimes. Usually you can pinpoint it if you do a little detective work, especially if it's like if the car won't start, that's the battery. But the only time the battery is used is in starting the car, or sometimes running the AC, the internal power for like the radio, the head unit and stuff. If the lights, like, so if your battery's bad, once your car is started, it doesn't use the battery, it's fine. If your alternator is going bad, you'll start seeing your lights dimming inside the vehicle because the alternator is actually what powers the car once it's on. So stuff like that, learning about it is important. And I think that's why fixing up a car, in my mind, was such an ideal way to introduce like boss or your younger siblings, when they get there. Introducing them to vehicles is because through fixing it up, you sort of get to learn about these parts and figure out how they work together, and you develop a relationship with it. Most cars today, at least newer cars, aren't really designed for that, but older cars, there's still a window there where you can get cars that are not so old that it's difficult to fix them up. But that's where you should be right now, thinking about what it is that you're looking for, what you want to do with it, and then we can find you a way to get it. So, get to it. Get that moped. I will send you a text message. You probably won't see this, and it will seem random. And if you ever do see this, that's why I texted you about a moped. So, you know what? There you go. A little sort of Easter egg, I guess. But yeah, it's you're getting to that point where you need your independence, and you can't just go out and walk around out here. So we got to get you into something. And you know, I guess maybe there was more I talked about earlier, but I'll say that this is already long enough. So I was gonna say my positive note or the thing I'm excited for was this Penguin documentary series. Ugh, I don't like those portmanteaus. About penguins on National Geographic, and it is gorgeous. James Cameron made it. Mm-hmm. But there's more dead penguins in it than I would imagine. So I feel like that's a little bit of a wash. Buckethead was great. That was very cool. It was a great show. I'm looking for some more shows coming out in the near future, but this summer is going to be crazy. My school classes end in a week. You know, semester's done. 1st of May, pretty much. I guess May 2nd is the last day. So, if you're in college, that's that's one of the perks. This semester has been only 3.5 months long. So, 3.5? Started in the middle of January. February, March, April. Yeah, 3.5. So, it has been a short semester. But, yeah, it's exciting. Exciting stuff, and then I've got a ton of yard work to get to. And that's always a nice little moment of zen right there. So, I'll cut this short. I got all my rambling out earlier, so. But, I love you. You got this. I hope to hear from you, whether you saw this or not, about ideas that you have. Just make sure you talk about it. The more you talk about something, the more likely it is to happen, and not in like a woo woo kind of way or like, oh, I say the world's gonna end, it's gonna end. It's just when you're looking for something, the people around you are resources, and so if you mention to them in passing that you're looking for a thing and they happen to see it, they'll let you know. It expands your reach. So it's important to make sure that if that is something you're considering, that's what you do. So, I'll see you soon. I'll. I was gonna say I'll try to make more videos, but I'm already trying, and this is what it looks like. So, I do love you though. You got this. You got this.